Good evening. Welcome to the regular public meeting of October 20th, 2025, the Township Council of the Township of Washington. Adequate notice of this meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk on May 20th, 2025 to at least 2 newspapers, and this meeting has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board, electronic message board, WCTV, and on the Township website. Please notify the municipal clerk for any disability requirements necessary for attendance at council meetings. The fire exits are located through the double doors to your right and through the door on your left. Please silence all cell phones. If you're unable to attend the council meeting in person and would like a topic to be addressed at a council meeting, please visit www.twpofwashington.us. Contact Us tab. Click on Mayor and Council. Send email to contact all council members at once. Can everyone please stand for a salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Here.
Councilman Sears.
Here.
Councilman Ullman.
Here.
Councilwoman Velez. Here. Council President DeSena.
Here. Let the record reflect also in attendance Mayor Peter Calamari, Township Administrator Mark DiCarlo, Township Attorney Siobhan Bailey, and Township Clerk Susan Wachowski. Payment of bills, Resolution Number 25-328. Authorized payment of bills October 3rd through October 15th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Ullman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Public service announcement for October 20th, 2025. The 2025 general election on November 4th will be held at the Bethany Community Center. This location will also be used for next year's primary and general election. With construction about to begin at the DPW facility, town hall parking will be limited. Official notices will be sent to township residents. Early voting begins on Saturday, October 25th. Please visit our website for locations. Our ballot drop box has been relocated in the municipal parking lot and now sits across the police department entrance. Please note the signage as you pull into the parking lot. Leaf pickup begins on November 3rd. Residents are responsible for raking leaves into piles and placing them at the curb. Avoid placing leaves on top of storm drains and keep piles clear of litter, branches and other debris for recycling purposes. Plastic bags are not acceptable. However, biodegradable bags are permitted. If you live on a county road, please place leaves in barrels or biodegradable bags. Do not rake leaves into the street. To avoid a fire hazard, do not park on leaves. Crews will work from the west to east in each zone. A second pass of each zone will begin after the completion of the first collection. Collection is weather dependent. Please be patient. To ensure that you do not miss your scheduled leaf collection, please visit our DPW website and our Facebook page for weekly updates during leaf collection. 2025 road program. The resurfacing of Fern Street from Cypress to Bergen, Salem Road, Bergen Avenue, and Carriage Court is projected to begin in the latter half of October. Any storm catch basin within those project limits will be reconstructed if needed. Residents in the affected areas will receive a notification letter advising of the upcoming work schedule in their neighborhood. The milling and paving schedule will be posted once it is received by our vendor. The Township of Washington Board of Health and Northwest Bergen Flu Health Commission administered a total of 10 vaccines at the flu clinic on October 8th. Thank you to our senior group for allowing the nurses to set up during their senior meeting. The Township of Washington annual Washington Wicked 5K Kids Fun Run will be held on Sunday, October 26th at 9 a.m. Fun starts at Gardner Field. Please visit our website for registration information. Our annual rabies clinic will be held on Saturday, November 1st from 9 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. at the DPW. All dogs must be leashed and cats must be in carriers. The Township of Washington Police have observed an increase in illegal electric and gas-powered dirt bikes around the township and have issued a zero tolerance if someone is caught riding on one of these vehicles. Not only will the operator receive a traffic summons, but depending on the circumstances, the bike may be impounded. A dedicated e-recycling container is now available year-round at Town Hall through a partnership with E-Revival LLC, a certified electronics company. Drop-off is available Tuesdays from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. and Saturdays 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. by ecology permit only. Please visit the yard. Please note the yard is closed on Tuesdays during bulk and leaf collection weeks. Please visit our website for further information and a list of acceptable items. Friendly reminder, please curb your dogs and pick up their waste when necessary. Please do not throw your pet's bag waste into your neighbor's garbage cans or bodies of waters or into wooded areas. Our next council meeting will be held on November 10th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a long one.
That was a long one. Approval of minutes, April 17th, 2024 budget meetings. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Ullman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Just a quick statement. The meeting minutes are done as quickly as possible.
We have four, well, that was a 50-page minute.
Yeah, so,
Takes time.
I know the Facebook warriors are upset that they don't get posted in time. However, the meetings are done as diligently as possible. The staff does have other duties that they need to get to, but they do get posted in a diligent fashion. So thank you for all your work and your staff and all the administrative staff. Report of the administrator.
Good evening, Council President DeSena and everyone. Thank you. This is my response from the Township meeting October 6th. There was 2 resident concerns questions. Residents conveyed concerns regarding speeding on Woodfield and Washington Avenue and pedestrian safety around the lake due to high volume of walkers, runners, and baby strollers. These concerns were brought to the attention of the Police Department command staff on October 7th, 2025. Captain Pecor informed me that these concerns would be looked into by the Traffic Bureau. Additionally, directed patrol initiatives focusing on the speeding complaints will be focused on by the Patrol Division. The street light at Colonial and Ridgewood was reported to PSE&G. We were informed it was repaired. Residents are reminded that street light and power outages can be reported at nj.pseg.com. There was no council concerns or questions to follow up on. We have a few updates. Our Chief Financial Officer, John Corcoran, has completed the Township's 2025 Best Practices Inventory. The results of this inventory determine how much state aid we receive from energy tax receipts. The score of 32 or better receives 100% state aid distribution. The Township receives $722,033 for 2025. This year, the Township received a score of 41.5 out of a total possible score of 43.5. There are 70 questions on the best practices inventory. Some of the questions do not have a point value associated with the questions. The questions pertain to transparency, technology, shared services, redevelopment, procurement, personnel, lead remediation, insurance, financial administration, ethics, environment, emergency services, capital projects, and budgeting. For emphasis, the Township almost received the perfect score. Mayor Calamari and I are extremely proud of this achievement and especially proud of our staff members that assisted us in obtaining the highest score ever on the best practices inventory. The Squapsink Brook update. On October 14, 2025, the New Jersey DEP informed the Township that the flood hazard and wetlands permit for the Musquapsink Brook Restabilization Project has been approved. Frank Rossi of Boswell Engineering informed me that the next step is to submit for a soil erosion conservation permit with Bergen County. From there, the finishing touches will be put on the project bid and specifications documents. We were hoping to go out to bid for a contractor sometime in December or sooner. 450 Pascack Road update. Lisco Environmental has received 3 quotes for the excavation and removal of the contaminated soil on the property. Final review of the proposals is being conducted, and Lisco hopes to have a recommendation for a contractor within the week. As a reminder, the cost for this remedial work is being paid for by an escrow established by the seller, not tax dollars. Once the excavation is completed, the demolition of the 2 structures will take place. The demolition work will be paid for with grant funds. Swim Club update. Frank Rossi of Boswell Engineering advised that the United States Environmental Protection Agency is currently reviewing our self-implementation plan for approval. This is the plan created by Boswell Engineering, which describes how the decontamination will take place. It is unknown how long this process will take. Swim Club HDSRF grant update. The Hazardous Discharge Site Remediation Fund grant has been approved by the NJDEP and is now under final review by the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. The grant has been recommended for approval by the NJDEP for $83,951. This amount will reimburse the Township for expenses paid for the preliminary assessment, site investigation, and a remedial investigation pertaining to the contamination of the swim club. Further update on the swim club grant, I was notified by NJ Economic Development Authority that they will be approving the grant and hope to send out the approval letter later this week. A reminder to the residents that leaf pickup will start the week of November 3rd, 2025, and will continue till all the leaves are picked up. When placing your leaves at the curb, please be considerate of the start date and that of Halloween so people will be safe walking. DPW is prepared for this leaf season with 10 full-time employees, 4 seasonal workers, all 5 garbage trucks, and 3 front loaders are operational. An update to that, today our 4th and brand new front loader came in. So we'll be able to use that as well, and everything is operational. We are making good progress with our special building department escrow project. Most recently, we have corrected accounting in several escrow project accounts from 2017 that have identified approximately $30,000 to be moved from escrow into the current fund. These are funds due to the township from the utilization of police vehicles and equipment from outside billing. Thank you, Council President. That's the
Thank
conclusion
you,
of my
Mr.
report.
DeCarlo.
I just have a couple of questions.
Sure, Mr. Ullman.
Regarding number 2, the Musqueam Brook update, bid in December, hopefully, or sooner. Any thoughts on when it might be shovel-ready?
You mean the start of the project?
Yes.
I don't, only, with historically, we go out to bid for like 30 days, you bid the award, have the construction thing. So I would hope within 2 or 3 months from doing that,
Okay.
or sooner,
And then,
if we're prolonged by weather and, the winter.
understood. And just in number 7, you talk about the escrow project and escrow accounts from 2017. Are we only up to 2017 or?
No, the review actually included escrow accounts starting in 1999. But out of that, I categorized them and prioritized them. There was 5 escrow accounts for Suez, when Veolia was Suez, and previous to that, there was United Water. So there's still accounts there that have money. This was prioritized because out of those 5 accounts, today we set up, we have a trust fund for police outside billing. Everything goes into one fund. Back in the day, prior to the current employees, they would set up escrow modules for these projects. So at face value, and again, these are not specific numbers, but if you went into these 5 Suez accounts, they were established for police outside billing. The accounting was never completed. So we were able to prove that the township did not receive its entitlements from either the admin fee, the car fee, or the equipment fee. And kind of answer some of your question from when you had on the bill list, that's what LVB was assisting us in assuring that our accounting was correct. So out of the balance that was in those accounts, we're able to prove that roughly $30,000 is due to the township. So it will be moved from the escrow over to the current fund. I'm imagining it eventually will end up in surplus with the appropriate general ledgers. So there's a few of those, and those were the priority, again, to get the township the money it deserves. And again, let's just say for discussion's sake, it's going to leave a balance of maybe $4,000 or $5,000 that's actually due back to Suez that will be needed. So that's helping clean up everything.
Is there an anticipated expense? Is there a scenario where there's an anticipated expense to the township?
No, I don't believe so. I mean, other than if we're paying employees the extra salary that, is included in the salary ordinance, or like LVB to assist us financially. But I'm not expecting anything. It's not bills. It's more, this balance exists. Is it accurate? And what do we do with it? Did someone complete their project? Should this performance bond go back to this company? Things like that.
And just one last question. Is there sort of an inventory of accounts that fell within the review, and of those, how many have been resolved or?
So there was, again, it's a rough number, but it was like 2,343. The 2,300 number is accurate. The 43 is not. So between 1999 and when I printed it out, maybe it was May, there's like 2,300 something. Out of that, I know good about 500 just need to be made inactive. It's just, a step in the process that wasn't done back in the day. We were able to prove the project was done, there was no money due to people, and we just had to go in and do a clerical entry. From there, we then divided it into the group of Azalenas, which are like 900 of them, that because we closed out those POs, it put a balance back into an escrow. Then from there, we have soil moving permits, performance bonds, backfill bonds. So we're trying to figure out what all that meant to somebody when they entered those words, in 2006. So, we're still, and then Ms. Kalish has been reviewing, because there's plenty of them that are appropriately still active from 25, 24,
Sure.
big projects, people putting on additions, and the projects is still there that, account for a couple of hundred. So we're getting there, but it's still time. And the staff is being very conscientious. We haven't spent much money out of paying them additional hours. We're focusing on, seeing what can get done during our normal work hours, and then utilizing it for our professionals that we need to pay, that we don't have a choice from. So, again, out of that 5,000, I don't even think we got up to 1,000 yet. The council had asked, when I get to the 2,500 mark, give another report, see if we're going to use the 25. I don't see us needing that for the rest of the year, but I will certainly keep everybody up to date on it.
Okay. And I'm sorry, just one last thing. Although the update was pretty extensive, the revaluation,
Yes, I just spoke with. Seems like Wednesdays come pretty quick nowadays, but it was actually last Wednesday that I spoke with Sarah Holbig. Those reassessments to catch ups on people that weren't. And then it's not going to be till like December, late November, December, until those letters, or I'm sorry, I guess it's a letter that go out to the residents as to what their reassessed value is. So that's just what they're doing now.
okay. And are they on schedule for the overall
Yes.
schedule that they initially proposed?
Yes,
Okay. Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Mr. DiCarlo, on 450, we got the 3 quotes for the soil. Who is going to prepare the bid specs for the demolition of the structure? Is that coming from Beckmeyer or?
No, so I don't know. I don't think it has, and maybe Ms. Bailey can bail me out on this, but I don't think it has to follow the purchasing requirements because the township is not paying for it. So I have not seen them, but from my understanding,
Are you talking about the demo?
yeah,
That's not part of the escrow. What do you mean the township is?
no, not the demo, the excavation, I think.
Well, I'm just concerned, I'm thankful that council made the decision to have them post the escrow so we didn't have to pick up this tab for the soil remediation. But what about the environmental aspects of the homes? Like if there's lead paint on the outside of these buildings.
So
That should come out of the escrow, so I want to make sure.
That will not come out. The demo of the 2 structures will not come out of the escrow, but we do have a grant for it. So there's been some discussion on how we will remedialize whatever contaminant is in the structure or on the structure. That can either be, folded into one and then all taken out, into a hazard site, or it can be remediated. And, I don't have the proposals in front of me because they don't exist yet, but based on what the engineer said, it will probably be most cost effective to the township to have it, all the material considered hazardous and then just removed, that. Again, the numbers are wrong, but, do we pay $15 a ton or $25 a ton?
But why wouldn't that abatement of the hazardous condition be considered part of the escrow?
That was not I think in the
Well,
beginning of,
it had to come from somewhere, so that's the source, right? We're assuming it was from the paint.
so the soil remediation was one issue, and that's what we were focused on when we established the escrow. In terms of the demolition of the building, I think when the deal was made, and I was not here, it was always contemplated that was an old structure, probably with a lot of warts, and would need, and necessarily, these issues would need to be taken into consideration. But certainly, when the escrow was created, that was not part of the discussion.
Thank you. Any other questions, any other comments? Motion to open the public comment period of the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would anybody like to come up this time? Good evening, Mrs. Stitt.
Hi, Mary Ellen Stickle, Washington Township. I just wanted to say thank you to Tom Sears, Councilman Sears, for bringing up the whole Teterboro issue of the low-flying private jets coming over our town. I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. There was quite a few days in especially August and also September when there were many jets flying over the township. And just one example was that there were 235 private jet arrivals that came over Washington Township in one day. I don't know if Tom had said something about it being over a week or something, but I wanted to clarify that it was on this specific day, I'm picking out August 24th, runway 19 saw 209 arrivals, which meant 209 private jets came over Washington Township, and then 26 were on a different runway. So what I just wanted to clarify was that if you want to complain about these low-flying, loud private jets flying over your house on arrival to Teterboro, then you can attend the TANAC meeting. And TANAC is the Teterboro Aircraft Noise Abatement Advisory Committee. And they do it 4 times a year. And the next one is this Wednesday, October 22nd at 6 p.m. So basically, you can actually go to 90 Minaki Avenue in Teterboro. You can go into the administrative building and you go into this conference room. You can sign up ahead of time if you want to speak at TANAC@tab.com, and you can speak your piece about everything about planes coming over your house. My group is a nonpartisan grassroots group called TANS, Taxpayers for Aircraft Noise Solutions and Safety. We're represented by quite a few different towns, Park Ridge, Woodcliff Lake, and my group, we have meetings with Assemblyman Off once a month about what we can do. He's trying to engage with Sean Duffy and quite a few other politicians that we hope he can make some headway with. Again, it's non-political. It's political in the sense that we need politicians to help us, but it's not a Republican or a Democrat thing. It's really just about our overall health and safety, and just about noise in general being disruptive. I was reading, I think, an editorial on somebody saying about the blowers, the leaf blowers, and if that bothers him, I can see that. That definitely it's a noise hazard and is terrible. But yes, I guess this is my platform to talk about low-flying jets. So again, thank you, Councilman Sears. Thanks for the Green Team. You put out all the paperwork at the town fair. I appreciate that. And if anybody wants to contact me, you can kind of go through Facebook Messenger, or Tom knows how to get in touch with me also. That's it on my PSA announcement. As for, I do feel bad about, I go on and I look a little bit about Facebook, and you say the Facebook warriors, and I'll be honest with you, I hate social media, so I don't comment a lot on it. And I will tell you one thing that is my biggest pet peeve right now is people who post anonymously. Own your words. If you're on Facebook or whatever social media outlet, own your words at this point. This seems to be the new thing. And that could be anybody saying anything, but own your words. Unless you got some serious STD that you need to find the special venereal disease doctor, post anonymously. But other than that, own your words and,
Thank you, Mrs.
be
Stickler.
real.
Great statement.
All right, thank you. All right, thanks.
Public safety.
Would anybody else like to come up at this time? Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Angela Macri. I'm in Horizon Court. So I know this was brought up last week, like briefly. So we had an incident on October 2nd where we had to make an emergency call because my 3-year-old son was unresponsive.
Yes.
For unresponsive, I found him unresponsive in my hands, and police arrived within 7 minutes. They did a great job. They did everything they could. We were amazing. But the paramedics took 25 minutes to get there. I know my wife has reached out and spoke to a couple of you about this. So just wanted to see if there was any updates or how this process works where, you call 911, is the township notified, how do they dispatch? And we really want to make sure this doesn't happen again because.
We had asked the last meeting for an update, and I believe the mayor is still working on the update. Right, Mr. Mayor? I don't want to speak for you, but you have an update for him tonight. I don't know if you.
Yeah, how are you, Angela? Good to see you. The chief and I have been in email touch with your wife. He's putting together a comprehensive thing, not just for this issue isolated, but moreover, for us to understand the process of what happens from the time the call comes in until people show up on the scene. We expect, because I spoke to him earlier today about it, we expect to have all that information ready sometime next week to bring you, your wife, whoever wants to come and get educated about the process in for a meeting. I think, Councilman Senna may want to be part of that.
Absolutely, yeah, because
So,
Mrs. Macri reached out to me, and
Yeah.
I put her in touch with Chief
Right.
Calamari.
Yeah.
And I was not aware of it until the day of her email, which I called her right away, because it was very disturbing that it took 25 minutes for your, what's he, 3? I didn't want to say his age. I don't want to say his age, but I was very stressed because it's a very difficult time to have an unresponsive child, and at any age, even an adult, and to wait 25 minutes. And I'm glad the police department was there quickly, but it's still not getting you the
Exactly.
the
They were,
attention.
exactly.
You've always said they were wonderful, and
Amazing, yeah.
but
It's just they can only do so much, and my son has a congenital heart disease, so it could happen again, right? So, and it could happen to any of us, right? So it
Correct.
could be somebody in this room right now, and I'm sure
that's what,
nobody wants to wait 25 minutes for a
No,
paramedic to
right.
arrive. It's a life or death kind of situation. I think it's a priority topic that needs to be really figured out.
you are
Just,
absolutely correct.
just really, as a town, I'll be here my whole life, right? We just moved here not so long ago, and we love this town, and we just wanted to make sure it's like a public safety, want to make sure this is fixed, so it doesn't happen again. So I appreciate everything.
We'll be in touch, right? Mr. Mayor? We'll-
we're looking.
I'll get back to
next
you.
week.
I'll get back to you directly.
Thank
to
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good to see you.
Anybody else? Yes.
Well,
Mr.
can I just ask that, understanding that we owe a response to Mr. Macri and his family, will there be an opportunity to have that review socialized at a council meeting? Because I'm sure other people would appreciate understanding what the process is, as well as, what we're doing to ensure that it doesn't happen again. So, I know that the volunteer ambulance corps, the county, as well as hospitals are involved, and, what that coverage looks like, because I guess I had an expectation of a certain level of response based on our various conversations about funding and about the county being involved with our ESB. And in this particular instance, it sounds like it didn't happen. So I think it would be beneficial.
Yeah, I don't want to get too far ahead of all the things that you just brought up, but we'll certainly once we have the meeting, we'll see if it's appropriate to bring it back to council to inform everyone in a council meeting and see what steps, if any, the town can take at a local level to help the situation. No, go ahead.
Sorry, do you mind if I ask?
Go ahead.
Mr. Macri, you said paramedics. Did you mean the paramedics or did you mean the ambulance and/or both?
So there was no ambulance.
Mr. Macri, if you don't mind coming back up, I'm sorry. We can't hear you back.
Sure. So it was Holy Name paramedics and ambulance. They both arrived at the same time. So it was 25 minutes. It was I guess they're a team. So there was no volunteer from around town, nearby towns. It was basically Holy Names, paramedic, and ambulance. So there was no nearby volunteers.
Was it the same
One
vehicle or was two different vehicles?
Two different vehicles, but they arrived at the same time. It looked like they were a team traveling together. So
Thank you, Mr. Macri.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Macri. Would anybody else like to come and address the council at this time? Seeing no one, motion to close the public comment period.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ordinances adoption, second reading. Ordinance number 25-21, ordinance providing for the improvement of Memorial Field in and by the Township of Washington in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, and appropriating $68,601.38, therefore from proceeds of obligations of the township heretofore issued and from capital fund balance of the township. Resolution number 25-329, authorizing second reading and opening of a public hearing for ordinance 25-21. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Would anybody like to discuss this? Would anybody from the public like to discuss this? Seeing no one, we need a roll call for the first one, please. Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Oman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Seeing no one in the audience that would like to discuss this, motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 25-21. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Oman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Motion to adopt ordinance number 25-21 at second reading by title. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Oman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Ordinance number 25-22, ordinance providing for the construction of a new Department of Public Works facility in and by the Township of Washington in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, and appropriating $150,349.85, therefore from proceeds of obligations of the township heretofore issued and from capital fund balance of the township. Resolution number 25-330, authorizing second reading and opening a public hearing for ordinance 25-22. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
I just have one question. We are, I guess, appropriating 91,000 from 17-04. And in this evening's expenses, there were some very minor expenses against that. Do we know what the remaining balance is for 1704? After this, as well as those expenses, the miscellaneous expenses paid?
I'm good.
In section 3.
1704 is 91,629.85. And then you said you saw some stuff on the bill list.
Yep, it was one of the questions I asked about the sidewalk.
Thank you.
It was charged to 1704.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure, one, that we're not paying out of something that isn't there, and two, I'm assuming it is there, how much more is there?
So that's, the bill you saw for Boswell, I actually encumbered the money. So there was a full expectation that that job was going to happen, the inspection of the lot, that the replacement of the concrete was going to happen at ESB. So I had encumbered the money. I did a blanket for Boswell for 1,000. So that money was encumbered prior to giving you the number for this ordinance.
Okay.
So I since closed it out, so there actually should be more money in there, because we're not going to use that whole $1,000.
All right. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Oman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Would anybody like to discuss this resolution or ordinance from the audience? Seeing no one, motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 25-22. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Oman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Motion to adopt ordinance number 25-22 at second reading by title. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Oman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Continued public hearing for ordinance number 25-20, an ordinance amending Article 15 entitled Site Plan Review, Chapter 540-84, entitled Demolition of Residences, Tree Preservation, and Related Requirements. of the ordinances of the Township of Washington. Resolution number 25-331, authorizing reading and publication of ordinance number 25-20 by title and scheduling a public hearing. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Bailey, do you want to just go through the changes, or we have the red line, so it's fine?
So if I may.
Go ahead, Mr. Ullman.
So this is coming as a referral from, I guess, the planning board?
Yes, so just very quickly, the council considered this ordinance in its August meeting. It was on for first reading in September, I believe September 22nd. As a zoning ordinance, it was thereafter referred by Sue to the planning board for its 35-day review process. And it came back, you know, you can have a report, a letter. These comments came back by way of revisions to the ordinance, and that's what you see in the red line. These are planning board suggestions and revisions after consultation with the board engineer, planning board members, and so forth. I believe zoning officer weighed in.
So the only,
So the only changes were the township engineer became the board engineer in C and D, in
Yeah.
C, excuse me, and it's actually identifying there's three different ways to calculate the
Well,
square footage now.
it's a step.
It's step by step,
It's a
step.
clarification
Yep.
to make it really clear, because I think that was the problem. My understanding is that was the problem. There was an issue in town with,
Yeah, with the way people calculate it.
Yes.
So I'm glad we got this,
yeah, this clarifies.
the revision, because it makes it easier for the homeowner. And the board.
All around.
Yeah, the board also and the township officials.
so in the planning board meeting, I had suggested that we add some further language that the board elected not to move forward with.
Would you like to share that language with us and see if we'd like to edit, Mr. Ullman?
Well, it's just, I agree, one, with everything that is in here. Two, it is, as Ms. Bailey noted, we've had a number of incidents in town where construction started as a sort of a remodel, rehab, and we wind up with just a flat slab because they've demolished the building without approval. So what I had suggested that we add is some language that should they go beyond the anticipated scope, that they need to engage the town immediately, the zoning or the building department, excuse me. And I think the consensus of the planning board was that that's implied in our code and the process.
Can I ask-
Go ahead.
do you mean like from an enforcement perspective?
Well, so we can enforce, and so that's, we have steps 1, 2, and 3, and they're taking down, 30 linear feet of wall, and that's what's approved. And then they get in there, and all of a sudden, they want to take down 50 feet of linear wall. When they make that determination to go from 30 to 50, before they do anything, I feel that they should have to come back to the building department. Because they're getting approval on plans that say 30 linear feet.
Well, the plans are reviewed by the zoning officer,
Yes.
and these steps are used based upon the plans, sure.
Yeah.
So then they get their permit, they go off and do the work.
And, they start doing the work and they find some rot, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden, they need to take out another 20 linear feet, which puts them over, or potentially doesn't put them over. My feeling is, based on these situations that have been before the planning board, is that, once they realized that the 20 feet was necessary, that there should be a step that they have to come back to the building department.
Well, I think the scope of the permit is as any type of construction permit, you have to comply with the approved plan and no more. You cannot go beyond the approved plan.
Yeah, but I understand where Mr. Allman's coming from, but I also understand as a builder, like if you have a crew out there and you find 20 foot of extra wall while you're demolishing it and the framing crew's right behind them, you're supposed to get an amended permit for that extra 20 feet. But to stop them and send everybody home until you do that,
But if that 20 feet puts them over the 50%, then it's a demolition.
they have to amend it correctly. The zoning officer would have to make that determination.
A permit only permits what's approved. A plan is approved. A
Any
demo permit.
deviation needs an
Any
amendment.
deviation requires an amendment, and that's stamped on applications all the time.
So in your situation, what should happen, what I've seen happen in the past, Mr. Allman, is the building inspector shows up and he says, hey, this is now a tear down. You need to resubmit all your plans, resubmit the fees and all that based on a tear down now.
But I guess the concern is,
But that's
ask
for the-
permission or forgiveness, better to ask for
Yes.
forgiveness. Yeah, that's a human, exactly. That could be with any type of construction approval, I would imagine, and that's not limited to this. Maybe it's more susceptible to that because of the nature of the work. I don't know. But you have an approved plan. You have a calculation based on these steps that you're under the 50. Otherwise, you go to the planning board, or if you're in front of the zoning board for a use variance, that's incidental to that application, whatever the scenario. You've got an approval based upon an approved plan. You cannot go beyond that without an amendment to that. Otherwise, you're in violation of the ordinance, so you could get a summons issued. You could get, put it back. Same thing, you put an extra story on
You gotta
that
rip
you
it
weren't
off, yeah.
approved, rip it off. That's a violation of the ordinance. So I just, I'm loath to over legislate sometimes things that are obvious, because once you start doing that, then you start to get into the problem of, well, you didn't say this and that. You want to keep it.
So I appreciate
Yeah.
the over legislation. I think last meeting, we saw another flavor of that. My only point is that, we've had, I believe, 3 applications to the planning board this year for scenarios similar to what I've stated. And,
So Dave,
In one
they
case-
should have reappeared in front of the planning board.
well,
for
they did
demolition.
after, but, what are we to say?
If we caught you, you gotta come. If we don't see it, then you're gonna go ahead and do it. And I kind of agree with Mr. Allman that it takes one phone call to the official here to say, hey, we overstepped it. Could you come take a look? Let him come out. But you have a safety issue here that you may take 30 more linear feet of that wall and could collapse. So I kind of agree with Mr. Allman that there should be some notification to the official to say, hey,
But the official should pick it up also when he's out.
but the official is
Wait a
sitting
minute,
here.
but wait a minute,
correct?
no. When the official is doing his inspection, right? Just like he's supposed to be measuring things.
Yeah, but that's
like-
after the
No,
fact, correct?
but after the fact or not, like,
Don't they pop in?
so, no, but Tom, so I've seen in other towns, a guy decides to put an extra 3 feet on his foundation and he doesn't say anything, right? Now, he goes for a CO and they measure everything, right? He gets a foundation survey and the thing is 3 feet bigger. He thought he got away with it, but now he's caught, right? So now he can't get a CO, he's gotta move out of his house, right? But those are things that are part of the process. So if the building inspector goes for a framing inspection, he should have the plans in front of him showing, hey, this wall in the front of the house is supposed to have 30 feet or 50 feet of existing structure, right? If he notices that there's only 30 feet, he's got to issue us a violation saying this doesn't meet the plan that was approved. You need to resubmit an amendment. And if it changes the calculations, then they need to resubmit a total amendment and possibly go in front of the board again. But these are things like, if we start, I'm just concerned with, look at what happened on North Ridgewood, right? That sat like that And those poor people that lived next door had to deal with that for 6.5 months because he went there, but he kept going before he stopped. But we should have caught it as soon as the house all came down. Somebody driving around in a vehicle should have said, wait a minute, that house is not supposed to be totally torn down. Not for the neighbors to say, what's going on here? And we find out that he tore the whole thing down and never applied for new permits. Right? Somebody should pick this up while it's being inspected.
Well, I picked up 2 of them and referred it.
But we shouldn't be picking, what I'm saying is we shouldn't be picking them up. And it's not, and unfortunately, if you're framing crews here, and most of the time they do the demo and they start framing at the same time, right? So now to say, well, now you got to go back in front of the planning board and wait a month, or maybe wait 2 months. No, because that's what the way the revisions are. You might be waiting 2 months, and now you have a structure. Your crew is on another job because they have to keep working, and now you're behind. So it's a catch-22. But if the officials are doing they should send it back for an amendment. Say, I'm not issuing you, I'm not passing your rough inspection because it's violating the approval. Does that make sense? I mean, that's what should occur. He or she should go out there and say, I'm here for your rough, the homeowner calls for his rough framing, right? And he or she goes out there, does the rough framing and says, all right, this front wall was supposed to remain intact. It's fully gone. What happened? Guy said, well, it was all rock. Well, that's too bad. You got to get an amendment and go back. But at least then,
I mean, if the process exists, but the challenge is that, the process exists today. This definition, maybe addresses one of the scenarios.
Oh yeah, there's always scenarios we're not going to catch.
There's always a loophole.
And, where then they come before the planning board and they have a slab, and, what's the planning board to say at that point when they come for the demolition approval?
Yeah, but at that point, they're coming for demolition and they're not coming for a rehab anymore because they have to come back and say, I'm amending my plan because it didn't work the way we had originally planned.
But because we want to be sensitive to the situation, they come in. What if they came in initially, there was opposition to the plan by the planning board? They come and there's opposition and it gets denied. Once the house is down, what's the planning board going to say? You can't rebuild. You
can rebuild, but you may have to change something. I've seen that happen. I mean, look at Ms. Velez's neighbor years ago. She didn't live here back then, but how many times did they rip the roof off that house? 3, Mike. The town made them rip the roof off that house 3 times to get it to the right height. Yeah, so that roof came off 3 times. So it does happen. It's just a matter of when it does. And unfortunately, it's it shouldn't be us calling.
They're fined as well.
What's that?
They're fined.
Yeah, they're fined as well. Yeah. Well, you don't have to fine them as long as they come in and make corrections.
And Mike, if I can just make a quick comment, again, without statistics, it's probably working in 99% of the cases.
Yes.
And so where you're coming from is the over legislation of the 1%, and those 1%.
It makes it difficult for everybody else.
Of course, yeah, but, I think it's working in most of the cases, and, we try and get the bad actors. Do we catch them all? Not necessarily, but,
No.
That's life, life isn't perfect, we all know.
Still waiting.
Any other discussion on this, ladies and gentlemen?
No.
I lost my page.
Uh-oh. Which, 6, 5 or 6?
Here, 3. Yep. We need to roll call on ordinance 2520. We need a roll call.
You did that.
No, we didn't. We just did motion and second.
Yeah, you need roll call. Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez?
Yes.
Council President DeSenza?
Yes. Introduction, first reading, ordinance number 25-23, an ordinance authorizing entry into a lease agreement with Bethany Church. Motion to introduce and pass ordinance number 2523 at first reading by title. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Resolution number 25-332, authorize publication of ordinance number 25-23 and schedule a public hearing. Do I have a
So
motion?
moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Ordinance number 25-24, an ordinance repealing Chapter 307 of the ordinances of the Township of Washington entitled Noise. Motion to introduce and pass ordinance number 2524 at first reading by title. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Resolution number 25-333, authorizing publication of ordinance number 25-24 and scheduling a public hearing. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second. Roll call?
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Resolutions,
Mike,
oh,
I
sorry.
guess just on this matter, I'm going to ask the attorney, who, with this particular ordinance, who is the resident supposed to contact to enforce that? Do they call the police? They call the zoning officer? Because I'm unclear. I had a patient come in the other day, had an issue with workers starting at 7 o'clock in town. And she was unsure who to call. So can you give me some guidance on that if you wouldn't mind?
Sure, there's a designated officer in the ordinance. I just don't know it off the top of my head. Noise control officer.
That would be for any noise, correct?
Well,
It
a
doesn't-
noise complaint.
Right, a noise complaint is a noise
Yeah,
complaint, no matter
sure.
what its origin is, correct?
Yes, so I just need to see who we designate. 1 minute.
Was it the code
I
enforcement?
thought it was a code enforcement.
Yeah, I think it is. I just
So
was
they don't-
looking for it.
They don't contact the police,
They-
they contact the enforcement official.
They can, yes.
Well, they would contact the police
They can.
during the weekend when the code officials not around,
Okay,
and they can refer, I've done that, and refer the ordinance.
So there are two types of officials under this ordinance. One's a noise control officer. It's a general uncertified, certainly the police.
Okay.
Anybody who's familiar with the provisions of the ordinance, and can do generalized duties under this ordinance. I would say the police department is fine to take in
Okay.
complaints and so
Gotcha.
forth. Noise control investigator is a special certification, and certain types of complaints require certain proofs.
and Mark, who would that investigator be in our government?
So I think the difference in definition is if someone's trained with that particular device.
Okay,
So here, I think the most appropriate call should be to the police,
okay,
because in most circumstances, a noise complaint could be a disturbance of the peace.
Okay.
You're going to have the ability to enforce it. So currently, we don't have an official by that definition that is certified. I believe it actually came up as a conversation between Shalana and I on another matter, but that person would have to go and use, I think it was called a decimal reader
Mhm.
or something.
There's a certification
But,
process, yeah.
there's certain clauses within the noise ordinance where that device has to be used.
right,
But in most circumstances, it can be, I think it's called a noise investigator, which any police officer, as long as they're trained on this ordinance itself, can enforce it. You're going to call to a house party, and the music's heard
Right.
from a quarter mile down the road.
Right. Okay.
So that would be, I would direct your constituents.
So are we having our police get the training? Are they all getting training, or is it just that they have
That's
to
a
read
good
the
question.
ordinance?
I don't have an answer for it, because again, it's so difficult if you only have one person,
Right.
one day working. I don't have an answer for you right now.
I think there's also an ability to avail yourself of a regional or officer so that you don't have to have somebody specialized and trained. There's a process where you could And I would have to look at the procedure to have somebody Washington Township.
Okay, yeah, I don't know how involved the training is. Is it an hour or is it a day?
We
You know,
had a particular circumstance, we were trying to figure out what to do, and we called our health department.
Mhm.
And they don't do it, but they turned us on to the county, and I forget the name of the agency, the entity that's within Bergen County.
okay.
But then we had a question, Siobhan and I were trying to figure out, well, can that person come in and actually write a summons?
Mhm.
And then the situation kind of resolved itself, and, following through that answer just went on the back burner, but we could certainly.
Once you have a complaint, they're gonna turn the music down, then you can't investigate it, right? So, that was just the question, but thank you very much for the information. I appreciate it. I'll pass it on to the.
Just based on that response, how do we have responsible people? How do we have a responsible party or an entity defined, but we don't have that entity? I mean, there's responsibilities for the NCO as well as the NCI. And if we don't have an NCO,
I forget which is which, but essentially all of us could be let's just say it's the NCO, because I think it defines what it is. It's just someone that has training on this ordinance, right? So
that's the
there's
NCI.
certain NCI, so there's certain components of this ordinance that something is prohibited in and of itself, right?
Sure.
Like blasting loud music at 2:00 in the morning, doesn't matter what the decibel reading is. And then there's other circumstances, maybe interior noise that's disturbing someone else. Maybe.
So,
I think, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no,
I think most of
it's
the-
the next component to figure out what we do, but Sean, this had to go down to New Jersey DEP. They had the comments on it, so that's why we're bringing it back to you. So officially, it's not,
Right. It's revised slightly to comply with the comments of DEP, but the NCOs, there are many areas in this statute that are ready to be enforced by an NCO. Police officers are obviously trained, they are authorized to issue summonses, which is required, and they know the ordinance. The NCIs, that's the piece where we get into a more specialized proofs and specialized summonses for particularized noise complaints that we don't have in place, I believe. We have the ordinance, but we don't have the person.
I think most of the complaints come from basically two sources. One, workers starting early, whether it's construction or it's landscaping. I think that's what we get most of. So as long as we have an avenue to approach that, I think that would be great. And I would assume now that we're talking about police, since they know the ordinance, they would be the NCO for that type of situation. So I'll make sure it's
I'll speak
posted.
with the mayor and we'll identify the most appropriate staff member or, contracted person to do that.
And how would we communicate this new ordinance to the construction people, the landscapers? How is that going to be communicated out to them?
Do they get a copy when they come for a permit?
Well, that's the thought I
Landscapers
was
don't.
thinking, you have to be registered, right?
Yeah.
To do,
Not the
to do
landscape.
construction.
Construction, yeah.
So maybe there should be a pamphlet, in there restating it, very generally that.
Just in the application.
So,
Yeah.
and landscapers, it's. Are we going to use landscapers now?
No, only if they do.
But we want to do that. That one time?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other? Okay. Resolutions consent agenda. The following items have been determined to have the unanimous consent of council and will be enacted in one motion. Should any item require independent consideration, the council member may have such item removed from the consent agenda. I would like 336 removed to just do it by itself, please. Anything else? Anyone?
No.
Resolution number 25-334, authorize release and refund of performance guarantees, block 1102, lots 7.91 and 8.01, in the amount not to exceed $3,537.03. Resolution number 25-335, authorize release and refund performance guarantee, block 4312, lot 16, in the amount not to exceed $1,055. Do I have a motion
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call?
Excuse me, Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Oman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Resolution number 25-336, authorize appointing ED Employment Solutions LLC doing business as the difference card to provide HRA services for the Township of Washington. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. DeCarlo, would you be the one that could present this really quick to
Yes,
us?
yes, sir.
I know we went over it last year, but I just want to put it on.
Yes, you
Just
got
want
it.
to be, transparent, put it on the record for everybody.
Yes, and it's good news too. It's good for the town and it's good for our members. WCTV, do you have our presentation that you could put up the first slide, please? If you had it. If not, I'll just move forward. But council, you have the resolution
Yep.
with you, and behind it, you should maybe have 3 pages.
So you're putting up the first page, the as-is page? Is that what you wanted to
Yes,
put up?
the as-is page, yes. And that would be the first thing. So just to quickly go over the resolution is essentially exactly what was put in front of the council a year ago, about a year and a half ago, when we went to the difference card.
The only question I had, Mark, is it should be 1/1/2025 to 12/31/2025, right? Because it's showing the
No,
cost is
it's-
2026.
So currently we have the difference card, right? Nothing's going to change with the usage of the difference card. Nothing changes with the premise behind the difference card. What we're proposing is currently we have the State Health Benefits Plan 2035 plan. We are recommending to go to the State Health Benefits Plan High Deductible Health Plan. So that's why you will see an effective date of January 1, 26 to December.
Oh, did you
31st.
plug in those numbers versus the
Yes.
2035 versus the high deductible?
Right, so when I
Oh,
said
okay, I
it's
see what you did.
exact,
Okay.
it's exact except for the dates changed.
But the as-is is really just a comparison of the 2025
Oh,
numbers.
I'm sorry, sir, I'm still on the resolution. I just wanted.
No, I was looking at this, that's where I was getting.
Sure, if you give me 15 seconds, I'll get to that. So just telling the council, the resolution is essentially what you saw and approved about a year and a half ago, with the exception that the effective date would be January 1, 2026. The health plan references New Jersey Direct HDHP plan. And then 3 paragraphs up from the bottom of the first page, you'll see the township will fund an HRA account for each employee regardless. That amount of $12,400 has changed from the previous amount of $16,000 and change. All right, so those are just the difference in the resolution, and I'll explain to you why those changes. So now, sir, we'll go to that first, as is.
Yep.
The conventional cost, it says carrier benchmark plan. That is if we didn't do anything a year and a half ago, right? So that would represent 2026's cost for the Direct 10 plan, all right? So what happened is, all of you know, maybe even personally on this dais, is the State Health Benefits Plan went through a tremendous price increase in 24 and 25, right? Like a 20-something. They gave us a little bit of a break, and in 25, it was like a 7 or 8%, right? The proposed,
For you, it was.
the proposed increase for 2026 for Direct 10/15 is 36.9%.
Correct.
The increase for the 2035 plan is 55%. They increased it 55%.
It's insane.
So even with the township paying for the 2035 plan with a 55% increase is still cheaper than if we stayed with Direct 10 and took on a 36.9%. So I don't want anyone to think, oh, we did ourselves bad. No, it was still the right move because we saved a lot of money switching to the difference card. So this as is. So if we did nothing, the conventional cost would be $1,651,880. The revised fixed cost, that $1,453,966, represents the cost of the 2035 plan if we do nothing tonight, right? The difference card claims. So last year, when we went to this, the difference card was estimating about a $75,000 claim, right? That would have been for the whole year. But in 2024, we started using the difference card and the 2035 plan on July 1st, right? So any math, you'd figure those last 6 months of the year, we're going to use half of 75,000. So let's just call that 36,000. The claims actually came in at about 46,000 for those 6 months. So when preparing for the budget for 2025, we had to account for about $95,000, $96,000 in claims rather than the 75. So again, when they gave us the proposal, it was based on historical use of claims with our members. We have about 34, 35 members on healthcare plans. So unfortunately, that proposed expense for claims went up from 75 to about 96. Based on what's happening this year, we're looking at a potential claims of 145,000 for 2026. Okay, so if you add that to the revised fixed cost, which is the carrier, that's the cost of the 2035 plan, plus the difference card. The difference card, to have the difference card is about $22,800 a year. It's going to be the same price for 2026. That's going to bring it up to a total cost of $1,599,757. So if we do nothing tonight and we go on with the 2035 plan, we will only save an anticipated $52,000 from the Direct 10 program, right? So just to remind the council and all of us, for 2025 budget, we budgeted $800,000 for the health benefits line. We budgeted $22,800 for the difference card fees, and we budgeted $30,000 for employee claims. Okay, so if you go, let's just round it up to $900,000 for the health stuff in 2025. If we do nothing tonight, we're going to have to raise 1.599. So you're looking at that big of an increase. Okay. What we're proposing tonight is if you go to page 2 says the high deductible high plan alternate. You'll see the conventional cost, that amount of $1.43315, that represents, when it says conventional cost, is now the 2035. So this is actually what we have. If we go to the high deductible health plan, the cost of the plan will only cost $870,589. $870,589. That's for the cost of the premium and the difference card. So now the difference card claims, just stay with me, are expected to be $240,000, which is double what I just told you if we stayed on 2035. The reason why is with the high deductible plan, there's more of a deductible, right? So it's almost it's twice the amount of deductible. So based on the usage of health insurance in 2025, going to this new high deductible health plan, the claims are expected to be $240,000 with a total cost of $110,000. So if we go to the high deductible plan, we will save $322,243. And if you go to the third page, I'll show you the difference now of those numbers. Nothing. The most important thing is nothing is going to change for the employee. Nothing is going to change for the township. This will assist the township in increasing, what's required in those budget account lines for the health benefits. And it's also going to assist our employees. So if you go down, we're going to call the first column benefit category and the second column is conventional plan design. That's our 2035. If you go all the way down to the bottom, you'll see conventional renewal. That's the monthly cost. So there's 11 employees that are employee only. There's 7 employees that pay employee and spouse. There's 2 members that are employee and children, and then there's 14 that have family benefits, right? So if you look at that family, we'll just stick with the family because it's the highest percentage of category. The renewal is $4,868.40 a month.
What's that?
That's to stay with 2035. If you go over a column to current base plan design, the current column represents what we're actually paying in 2035 this year. The renewal, you see how the price goes down? So it's even cheaper than what we're paying for 2035 this year.
So the 2886 is divided by 2, we get paid, the employees get paid bi-weekly, right? So we'd be cutting that in half, right, Mr. DeCarlo? That would be.
They get paid twice a month.
Not bi-week.
Yeah,
So
they
twice-
get
but
paid.
I'm saying you cut that number in half, so you're talking about $1,443 out of each paycheck for medical.
Right,
per family.
that's a monthly rate.
That's a
but
monthly number.
That's not what they pay. That's the cost of the premium. So you would do 2,886.76 times 12. That's how much that plan costs. Then based on Chapter 78, which is the employee's contribution, which is based on what their salary is. So again, we'll go to a top bracket employee that makes more than 105,000. They're paying 35% of the premium fee, right? So on a family plan, their contributions will go up. If we do nothing tonight, their contributions will go up $700 a member per month.
Per month?
Per month, Mr. Sears.
Yeah.
So there's by us going to the high deductible and moving forward a year, the member's actually going to save a few dollars in what they're having to contribute, and the town's going to save significantly. The most important thing to restate is that no benefit is lost. Like nothing gets, I just want to be so simple, nothing gets worse for the member. They're not losing any benefit. The difference card still works the way it does. There may be that clerical inconvenience, there might be more uploading of
EOB,
yeah, what did you say?
EOB, the explanation of benefits.
The EOBs. But we did 3 presentations over the last several weeks for employees with John Clancy, which is Trinity Brokerage, and Cecile from the Difference Card. And family members came, and the big hurdle that we had to get over last time was the uncertainty of how the Difference Card worked. We're beyond that. Everybody likes it. Conferring with Joy, who's the health benefits coordinator, how's it going? What kind of complaints are we getting? We had a couple of stumbling blocks in the beginning. One was like, how do we get, someone's child a prescription while they're down in, say, South Carolina in college? We were able to figure it out. And, I don't want to say the word love it, but it's definitely a benefit to everybody with a little bit more clerical. They make it very easy to upload these EOBs and get reimbursement. They say reimbursement's supposed to come within 2 days. We're seeing that. And, we're not getting the complaints, which tells us it's working. And the members at all 3 meetings were able to ask as many questions as they wanted. And I'm happy to say that both unions, the Teamsters and the PBA, are on board. They gave me the go-ahead to start working on the MOAs with our attorney. So the first step is for the council to pass a resolution. The next step is to get the memorandum of agreements signed by the union members. And again, nothing's going to change. It's kind of like, find where it says 2035 and replace it with HDHP. So that's what we're looking at. And if we can miraculously get this done while the open enrollment is in October, we should be running off the presses January 1. If not, we'll have to ask for a special enrollment period.
Thank you. What's up, DeCarlo?
The difference card claims. Last year, we exceeded the projection. Do we believe, are the claims grossed up for that expectation? I mean, are they recasting these on a continuous basis? Because, the savings disappears if the claims continue to grow. So did they have any insight as to why?
So can I use different words? The savings didn't disappear, it's just less, right? So when I was presenting this to the council last year, it was all based on the difference card proposal, right? So they based it on the year before, they're expecting $75,000 worth of claims. If it stays there, the township will save, and again, I'm just making these numbers up, but they're pretty close, $165,000. If the claims are 85,000 instead of 75, then the township saved 155 or 145. So we still saved a tremendous amount of money. We just didn't save as much as we could have. So, and I can actually provide the one report to the council. It doesn't give anybody's names or anything. It was actually a pretty cool, comprehensive report that when we just met with Trinity and the difference card, they gave us a breakdown of the claims, like 14% is because of this, 35% is, just doctor's office visits. And I specifically asked them, does any of this jump out to you? Is any of this, can you tell, pulling us in the right direction, that's something we have to fix? And he said, no, it's just, it's just life. It's just, regular usage. There was nothing that jumped out, that suggests any type of, again, inappropriate usage is not the right words, but I can't think of something better. Like there was just nothing that jumped out, and I can certainly share that with the council. It's just whatever happened this year, there was, that much claims.
So if
that much in claims.
If the HDHP is approved, what is the expense to the township? Like, what's going to be in the budget line?
So again, based on this proposal, I will ask for, essentially, if you go to page 2, $1,110,772, right? So that's the cost of the carrier, which is the HDHP, and the difference card, and the expected difference card claims. The reason why it's 240 is if you go to page 3 and look at the differences between the columns, the deductible, the in-network deductible for 2035 is 200. The in-network for the HDHP is 4,200, right? So the township is expected to pay more in claims, but saving a humongous amount of money on the plan itself.
So 1,110,000, we get the budget book. Claims go to 300,000, So we would be short funds. How is that raised? Or
So we essentially had that happen this year, right? So we were expecting 95, and it's going to probably end up around, again, projecting, might be like in the 120, 125 range. But there was a buffer in the large line of the health benefits, because when we budget for the largest expense. I don't want to say the worst case scenario, but we budget as if, say, hey, we're going to hire 2 new police officers. We're going to assume that they're coming in with a family. So if that family plan costs $50,000, that's what we're going to ask the budget for. If they come in single and it only costs $20,000, we now have that $30,000 buffer, but we have to do that and assume that, someone's going to come in with a family, so we have enough money. If unfortunately we exceed that buffer, and that's where we'd have to either do a transfer, which kind of sounds silly because it's usually the health line that we transfer out of rather than transfer in. So, again, whatever would be the most appropriate, budgetary thing, whether it's an emergency.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
And does, Joe Smith, who's an employee, he is responsible for a percentage of the premium based on his salary.
Yes.
As you explained that. Is there any benefit that he receives over and above in terms of the funding of the card? Meaning, we have to fund this at a certain level. If it's not spent, does he benefit from it?
No, the township would. Right, we wouldn't spend the money that was in the account.
So that's the net that would impact the net saving.
Yeah.
Right, so on page 2, we're expected on these numbers to save 322 by going to this rather than staying at 2035. If the claims are lower, then we might save 350. If the claims are higher, we might save only 310, right?
Mark?
Yes, sir.
Correct me if I'm wrong, when we put that funding in for the difference card, right, that goes into a separate account that carries over from year to year, does it not? I thought that's what, I thought, well.
This
I
is
thought that's-
where,
that's
this
what
is where me and the
happened, right?
CFO have a disagreement. So I'm trying to think of how to answer it to not confuse not only myself, but the rest of us on the dais.
Okay.
It's more of an accounting. John, do you want to take a stab at it?
Yes. Basically, we were required to open up a separate bank account for the claims.
Right.
And then basically what happens at the end of this year, whatever money's in that account, as of December 31st, I will transfer back to the current fund bank account. Because theoretically, that account should show a zero balance at the end of each year. The reason why I said that is because unlike the current fund, that bank account is not self-sufficient, meaning there are no deposits that go into or anything like that. So basically, whatever amount is short in that bank account, I have to transfer from the current. Regardless of how much is budgeted in that specific line. That's the issue we've had with that, because the claims have been higher than we expected. So there was only like a certain amount in there, and we went over that 75,000 that Mark said earlier. So that's basically how it works, and we were required to open up that separate bank account for it.
Okay, so make it real simple for me because I'm bad at math. We have $10 in the account for last year, 2025, okay? We
Right.
used $5 of that to pay out claims. We should have
Yes.
five left. That 5 that's left, does that go into next year's account we're growing on, we're building on it? Is that?
Actually, there's 2 steps. The first step is at the end of the year, that $5, I'm going to transfer it back to the current fund bank account.
Okay.
And then what's going to happen is on not January 1st, January 2nd, when a bank is open, I'm going to transfer money from current to the health bank account based on what I perceive we're going to need for the year. That's definitely what I wanted to, because that's really the way it should be done.
So the
we're not
$5,
losing
the
the
$5 that we didn't spend, does that go back into account to use for the next year's health fund, health card?
Are we,
Technically, yes, it is. Yes, but then you have to start fresh each year.
Right, so
because
we're going to add another
Right.
$10, right? So now we have 15.
Well, that's what I wanted to do, but that's not, because of the accounting in our budget, it's not, so like, if we budget $10 and 25 and we only use 5,
Right.
and now I'm telling you, we need 15 for the next year.
Right.
We can't just raise 10 because 5 was there. We have to raise the full 15. And that's where the confusion comes in. I'll never get you to understand it.
No, you
because
will never.
I agree with how your mind works with that. Like if I had 5 left over.
You're the only person that ever agrees how my mind works. Thank you very much.
That's,
but how do we take it back into, I mean, you're talking on the cash side, I believe. You're talking, there's a separate account that's for claims, you transfer it back to current fund. What does it look like on the ledger? Like, where's that money? Where is that money?
Basically on the ledger side, it's a very simple accounting entry. Basically, you're debiting the current fund cash account and you're crediting the health benefits bank account cash account because you're zeroing it out. And also keep in mind, when the AFS is done and it shows all the bank balances for each account, for the health line, it'll show 0. And that $5 in this instance would be part of the current fund bank account on the AFS.
Yeah.
So they all have to time.
The reason why we need that bank account is because the difference card draws right from it. So if we didn't have it,
Right.
it'd essentially be coming into our coffer. So it's really like any other account line. So say we have $200 left in office supplies, that $200 doesn't go towards the money we need in 26. It goes to reserve and then ultimately surplus. So it's really the same concept as every other account line.
So I think, and perhaps I'm misremembering, if that's the term, that the excess could be used for the next year. So in the case of the 240, that potentially, that's part of the 1,110,000. So 240 is projected claims, and we will, in theory, tax our constituents, taxpayers, for 1.1 million through the budget process. On December 31st, if we have only spent, 140,000 in claims, there's $100,000 in that account. Now, I understand from Mr. Corcoran that has to come back into the current fund bank account. Not talking about the cash side.
Mm-hmm.
That 100K is eventually going to work its way into surplus.
Yes, that's how I explain it.
Well, yeah, if I can interrupt, there are two distinct things. The money you have in the bank account is the cash accounts, represent the cash account.
Sure.
So you want to zero out the health benefits to the bank account. Now when you talk about the budget lines, that's a totally different thing. In other words, if you budget 240 and you spend 140, then basically that 100,000 in 2 years will go into fund balance. And the other part of it is if you have another line, if one of those health lines you overspend, you could do a transfer November 1st, taking money from the claims budget line and put it into the other health line. So you just got to keep in mind that there are two distinct things. The budget lines have nothing to do with how much money you have in the bank account.
And John, if we budgeted 240, you're not putting all that 240 into the health cash account in the bank at once, right? You're transferring.
Well, I definitely would like to.
Okay.
You really should, because if you budget 240 and the council approves it, that means you think you're going to be spending 240 the next year. So, for that year. So I would like to put all that 240 into the health line to reimburse it, hoping that there's enough money in that bank account to get us to the end of the year.
But John, you would have to do that January 1st, correct? That would have to be in the temporary budget.
Yes.
Yeah, because the temp, yeah.
No, but he'd have to put it in a temporary budget, because the way it was described to me was, if I don't have a difference card or my FSA, HSA, whatever card I have, and I go January 1st and I have a heart attack, I hope I don't, knock on wood, right? Based on this high deductible plan, my family is going to owe the hospital $10,400 because that is my max out of pocket based on this high deductible plan. So if that money's not in the difference card, there's no way to pay that claim.
Well, Council President, the Senate, basically what I would do is when I do the temporary budget,
You would put the full amount in there for that reason.
well, no, I wouldn't put the full amount, because you're supposed to only do 26 and a quarter, like, in the temporary budget. But here's the thing, I might do more than 26 and a quarter of what was budgeted this year if we think we're going to be spending a lot more out of the claims account. So, in other words, if I think we're going to be spending 240, what I might do is when I do the temporary budget, there's usually certain exceptions that I do that have to be more than that. And what I would do is I would probably put 60 in the temporary budget for that claims budget one, so that I can transfer, from the current to the health bank account. Just so we're covered.
That's the problem with this high deductible.
Honestly, my concern is not the cash, because I think we'll find a way to get the cash. My concern is the excess or potential excess at the end of the year. So,
Excess claims or?
no,
excess cash?
excess cash.
Okay.
So if claims are at 140 against the 240, that $100,000,
Right.
again, there is no,
Way to get it back.
yeah, basically, there's no way to accelerate that and use it. I mean,
Well, what I was going to say, if I can interrupt for a minute, John, would it be okay if we kept a memo entry of that 100,000? And then when it went into surplus in 2 years, if that money was earmarked, could we bring it back in at that point and not have to fund the health insurance line fully? Because we would have that 100,000?
You have to,
Actually,
It's all
Mayor,
accounting, and I really admit I'm no accounting major.
No, I know. Basically, there's two things, and that's why I'm trying to keep them separate, because they are. In terms of the cash, if you eventually put 240 in that bank account and you spend 140, on December 31st, I'm transferring that from the health bank account to the current fund bank account, and it will be reflected in the current fund cash that will show up on the AFS. Now, the other thing is the budget line itself. If you have $100,000 left over in that budget line, one or two things are going to happen. If you leave it alone, in 2 years it'll go into fund balance. But if you have another account that you overexpend and you need to make a transfer, you can take it out of that. Let's say you need $40,000 out of that $100,000. You'd have 60 left. So that means in 2 years, $60,000 fund balance. So you got to try to remember there are two separate things. The budget line really has nothing to do with the amount that's in both bank accounts.
so
The
essentially.
idea is to zero it out every year, so that, because it really should be zeroed out. Because the current fund has to provide, it has to give it money because it can't sustain itself. There's no activity in that account, other than the claims, the swipes that go through. So that's why the current fund has to fund it every year. But whatever balance is there, I will transfer back to the current fund. But the budget line is different. The budget line, whatever balance you have in 2 years will go into fund balance.
and there's no way to accelerate that. There's no provision.
Accelerate what? I'm not sure what you mean accelerate.
Accelerate
Bringing it back in.
bringing it back in.
Well, you really can't, because theoretically, you could have a claim swipe that goes in on December 30th, which would lower the bank balance in that health. So let's say you have $5,000 that goes in on December 30th. I would have to wait until like the last day, and even because I see it coming into the bank every day. So on December 31st, if I see $5,000 coming in, being taken out of that bank account, then at that point, I will know what the ending balance is in that account, and I'm going to transfer it back to current fund. So that on December 31st, at the end of business day, the health bank account will have a zero balance, which is how it should be.
And again, Mr. Cochran, I don't mean to belabor this.
Yes.
I have no concerns about the cash because I feel there is very tight control over that. And I really have no concerns about the budget because there are controls there. The only thing I'm trying to understand is in 2026, we're proposing to raise we're proposing to raise 1.1 million. That's the
Right.
total cost. And in my example, we're only going to spend 1 million. And so we've raised an extra $100,000. There's been a levy against our residents. And I guess it's no different than any other account, other than to say this expense is clearly designated. There's a clear attribution, and we're changing it on the fly. So I don't know. What I want to know is, can we bring that $100,000 into the budget in 2027 quickly? Or do we have to wait and let it flow through and come across as surplus in 2028?
If it's okay, can I give you an example of, like, let's say you budget $1,100,000 and you only spend $1 million. So you could look at, okay, we're overtaxing the residents by $100,000. But in 2 years, that's going to go into fund balance. So theoretically, they might get the opposite there. They might get it, not that it could, that will happen, I'm just saying it's possible that it will work in the other direction. Because if your fund balance goes up, you know, it's possible that you might be able to lower what your budget is. But it does take 2 years though, because you have a reserve year too.
Okay.
So your example of 2028 is appropriate, it's the most appropriate.
Yes.
That would be the quickest we can get that reduction, if we had a reduction.
But you'd still raise the amount you need in the budget, but it would be offset by the additional 100,000 you'd use in surplus revenue, right? You still, if you need $1 million, you still have to put $1 million in the budget. You don't put 900, you just put more on the revenue side. So the overall taxation becomes lower that way. But yes, there's no quicker way to use it. Believe me and John probably almost became physical with, you know, how we were trying to understand this.
It wasn't that bad.
I want it to go the way we're all thinking up here, but unfortunately, the accounting way.
Any other questions for Mr. DeCarlo and Mr. Corcoran?
Yeah, well, you know, again, I think when my understanding was that account was just for the card itself, right? It didn't have to do with the premium. So that money, the 200,000, whatever it was, and then that would roll into the next year what we didn't use, and then we'd use it. I mean, obviously, we have to keep enough in there that we calculate that it's going to be used. But my understanding was after 3 or 4 years, that we'd have enough in there to cover, and we wouldn't have to replenish that difference card unless it, you know, became low at a certain time. So if we just keep putting it in, you're going to have all this cash in the account that the staff won't use. It'll just keep growing. So I thought we were going to be able to, you know, basically zero that out eventually and not raise taxes for that particular line item. I mean, didn't you get that impression?
That's what I felt.
Okay, and that's how, not that it was sold, but that's how it was. That's how I interpreted that. We're going to take that line, we're going to make it, you know, we're going to try not to use it all, but we have enough in there. Just there's an emergency, and then we just build on it, build on it. So eventually, we wouldn't have to put more in there, and you know, raise the tax we'd have for savings over time. So maybe I was not too bright, or I was misled. I don't know, but that was my impression. And I think, Tom, you had that same impression as well, right? So that's all I'm saying.
All right.
So, okay.
Just to clarify real quick, so Mr. DeCarlo, you said that nothing is changing for the employees or the township?
Say that again, I couldn't hear
That
you.
nothing is changing for our employees in terms of coverage? And you
Nothing.
said that some employees are actually going to see a lowered cost? Is that correct?
Yes, based on their contribution, they may even see, like, because again, I base most of my examples on the family plan. If someone that has a family plan paying the highest contribution of 35%, they were actually going to save like $90.
Okay, and both unions were on board with this?
Yes.
Any other discussion?
Just one quick comment. I spoke to a couple of the employees. They actually approached me after these meetings, and they were very appreciative that the town went to the difference card, because otherwise they'd be looking at these huge increases. And so for no loss in coverage, you know, they hear things, they know what the rates were going up to. They're very appreciative. And, you know, again, the taxpayers, you know, should be also, because even though we may disagree with the accounting principles, they are what they are. And, you know, that dollar gets temporarily lost for a year, but then it comes back where we use it to defer tax increases in that year after.
Thank you. Roll call.
Oh,
sorry.
Sorry. I understand everything that was presented tonight. I just, to put it on the record, I'm just concerned about what's happening with health insurance in the state of New Jersey. I know this is not.
It's an abomination.
Yeah, I mean, it happened for me, so I understand how the costs are increasing. And it does concern me how we're saving, but our plans are changing, and just something isn't making sense. So it concerns me what's coming down the pike. So it's something
You and I
to keep in
both, Ms.
mind.
Velez.
Yeah. Not just here in
It's crazy.
Township,
Oh, no, it's
but
everywhere. It's all over the
across,
state.
across New
Throughout the state.
Jersey.
It's
So we as,
It's in every state.
yes,
It's
but
not-
we need to keep an eye on it because what's happening across this state in particular.
to even put 55% increase out as a realistic number is a abomination all at itself. To tell your state employees that we're going to tax you, we're going to increase you by 55%, it's just when I saw that published, I said, this has got to be a typo. It's supposed to be 5.5%. And when, I was convinced it was 55%, I said, this is incredible.
No, I mean,
It's just-
it happened to me, not to go into too much detail, but I saw
You and I
an
both.
$800 increase
Yeah.
per month. That's not sustainable with
No,
the
it's
way the inflation and the cost of living, it's not sustainable.
We've
So-
made less in the last 3 years due to medical than we have
Yeah.
with our raises and.
So I just-
Yeah,
It's a message for all of us.
Yes.
Regardless of what town or, county.
agency we work for, yeah.
Yeah.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Motion to adjourn to the conference agenda.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next meeting of the Township Council will be held on November 10th, 2025, beginning at 7 PM. Sign up for Nixle, text 07676 to 888777, key code TWP of Bergen. Conference agenda for October 20th, 2025. Under administration, we have best practices inventory, Mr. DeCarlo and Mr. Corcoran.
Yes, Council, and again, we're very proud of our score. There was 4 questions that we were, again, I don't like the word deficient, but 32 points would have gotten us the full state aid, just like last year, same amount. However, we scored a 41.5. The 4 questions, just to bring you through, let me go to different notes here. Hold on. Had to do with electric vehicle stations. So just to remind council, the plans for our new DPW building do include an electric vehicle charging station, but this question is specific to the public. So question 13, have one or more public electric vehicle charging stations been installed on municipal property? Right, so it was a half a point
That's
that we didn't score. And then question 14, when purchasing new vehicles, does your municipality have a formal policy to purchase hybrid or alternative fuel vehicles whenever such vehicles are suited to the intended use? Only answer NA if your municipality does not own any vehicles. Obviously, we do. I'll be reaching out to my fellow administrators to see if they actually have a formal policy, but I can't, wish I could lie, but we don't have a formal policy to include those into our fleet. We've looked at it, we've talked about it with DPW. It's just, it does not make sense to have an electric, say, garbage truck. We don't have, we only have one vehicle that's a township vehicle outside of DPW or police. And it's, a Hyundai, so we'd be like selling a fuel car to try and buy a brand new, you know what I mean? So, and then, electric vehicles for police use. I don't know how practical that is, but, a hybrid may certainly be an option, for police vehicles. So we're going to look into getting a formal policy and see what it's all about. Question 18 talks about the minimum dollar amounts for the tax collector surety bonding. However, to provide a higher level of security for public funds, municipalities are encouraged to adopt the more stringent schedule for tax collectors. So again, we have what's required, but they would give us an extra half a point if we had a higher level of security. And then the next question, 19, This, you know, this we kind of get beat on a little bit because there's only a yes or a no. There's not an NA. And we certainly fit into the NA because we have a shared service agreement with Saddle River. And as part of the Saddle River shared service agreement for the municipal court, they provide the surety bonding for us. So we lost a half a point there because we could only answer yes or no. But other than that, you know, we're doing very well. I'm really happy to say that we're doing very well. But we're going to even try to get even better with those, at least those three questions out of the four. So thank you.
May I ask
Sure, go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
Go ahead. Please.
number 11?
No, that's the one. Please.
Oh, great minds think alike.
No problem.
No, I saw in the notes that Township will be scheduling a disaster preparedness drill before the end of 2025. What, can you just elaborate on?
Yeah, it's just a tabletop exercise with the Office of Emergency Management. So right now, Clayton Kenny, our deputy coordinator, and Sergeant Fasciano, our actual coordinator, I met with them about a month ago, and they're going to be putting together a tabletop exercise where they encourage you to use either other agencies or county agencies. It's just a tabletop exercise. You know, you come up with, you know, a scenario that's most likely to occur here, right? I mean, we could use certainly, this might not be funny, but a plane crash, right? With all the planes we know are flying over town, or even more realistic, a flood, another, you know, a high level flood. And our lower levels of the township, like down at Bergen and stuff. You know, we could certainly come up with something that maybe won't happen, but there's plenty of scenarios, and they're working on, you know, who's going to be sitting at that table, what kind of scenario, and when we're going to do it. But we want to do it before the end of 2025.
Do municipalities do these drills typically, like actual drills? Is that?
Like a physical drill?
Yeah, is there something like that they would?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it's up to the imagination of the, you know,
How
the
far you wanna
township.
take it.
Yeah, how far they want to take it. But, you know, obviously the bigger scale
They
you
have
go,
to shoot
the
it.
more money you're spending, right? So, you know, they're looking for, like, you know, they say they have it there, you know, not limited to natural disasters, active shooters, wildfires, or chemical spills. But again, if we're going to be utilizing our time, we want to use it as something that most likely could happen here. You know, Unfortunately, active shooter could happen anywhere. So I'm waiting to see what OEM is going to bring back to the mayor and I, and we're going to put it together. But obviously, the larger scale it is, the more money you may be spending, or a tabletop exercise may only cost coffee and, you know, bagels or something.
I'm just thinking if we did something more of like, let's say the website, that if X happened, these would be the appropriate steps, just to kind of educate the residents as to, I don't know, is that
I'm
something?
not sure I understand what you're talking about.
So for example, let's say, I'll take yours, like flood. If there were a flood in Township, you know, we tell residents this would be the proper procedure should something like this happen.
Yeah, so
Right, put these
this
scenarios.
exercise is for the emergency personnel to practice their
Okay.
response to. It wouldn't, I'm not saying it.
Not for the public.
Yeah.
Not for
it's
the public.
No, it's not for the public.
Okay.
No.
I mean, that would be, I think, something beneficial if you don't know what to do if there's a tornado where you go, right? I know
Well, yeah,
Washington
well,
School is a,
Here's the thing, and I was gonna bring this up, and I'll just add on to Daisy. At one time, the high school, and I don't know if you remember Pete, I think you're the one, or Tom, we wanted to use the high school as a pod, point of distribution. So if there was a natural disaster or a big disaster, we could use the high school as like a bedding and, you know, handing out medication, first aid, stuff like that. And I don't know if you want to talk to them about it, because it would be nice to have at home, because we do have a nice big facility to use, their gymnasium. It would be the pod, and the pod usually takes care of a couple surrounding communities, Westwood, Washington Township, Hillsdale, Tohokus, you know. We can look at that. We can also call the Medical Reserve Corps in Hackensack. They do those type of emergency procedure things. So if maybe Fasciano wants to call them and see what they can do, so we can at least get a point here. You know, they're a great resource. They also do a lot of training if you want. You know about them, right, Tom? And they're down at the Bergen County Complex. So I give them a call. And they do a lot of training for zero.
Yeah.
You know?
In OEM, they have an emergency service plan book with
Emergency
everything we're
operations.
talking about.
Yes.
It's listed in there, what buildings you go to, procedures. But what Dr. Cassie was talking about would be in addition to that, which would be, we haven't,
Another
maybe
9/11 or something.
we probably haven't updated that in a very long
Yeah,
time.
but that, Westwood High School would be a great pod, a great place to distribute stuff, especially for our residents in Washington Township and Westwood and the surrounding area. I'd rather have our people come locally as opposed to going to, Hillsdale or Old Tappan somewhere. If we can do that, that would be wonderful.
So what Mr. Sears is referring to is the emergency operations plan. It's huge. It's updated every year. It's updated by our coordinators and reviewed by myself.
So that has all the latest and greatest information
Yeah.
of what
establishes
sites would be your
evacuation
your
plans,
meeting points,
Okay.
reunification point areas, all that kind of stuff
Where do you find that, Mr. DeCarlo?
in my office.
He's the only one that has.
It's not for the
We're in
public.
his office.
It's not for public
You know,
consumption.
It's not for the public.
Okay, well, yeah, that's it. But once I was stuck in between tornadoes, not in New Jersey, and I didn't know where to go. So just this made me think of that situation. What do you do as a resident? Where do you go?
hit the ground.
Underground.
But
That's why-
there were locations that
That's why
were
we could have a
tornado.
pod right here in town so we can.
Well, Washington School is like, has some kind of security or something. I forget. They have it on the outside. That yellow and black little sign.
May-
I mean, fallout
Go ahead,
Similar
Mr.
fallout shelter?
Is it, I don't know.
I wouldn't go in that now.
They have something.
Go ahead,
I'm not
Mr. Alden.
sure, truthfully.
It's
Just-
just.
Since we're on this discussion of preparedness and response and recovery, does the township do a disaster recovery? For instance, the building, if there was a fire in the building and it was uninhabitable, do we test that we can recover to a remote location, whether that's home, or do we have an alternate location where employees would report to? Do we do that type of planning?
I mean, specifically,
May I? We just did Chelsea this Sunday. The fire department made a mock response of a fire call there. So the people within Chelsea, they labeled the doors when there was nobody there. The fire department came in, walked through. We looked at the sprinkler systems, the water pressure, where do we hook up the hose, how much line that we have to drop in, where do we bring high-rise packs up into it, and where does Chelsea move their residents? They have two different types of residents there. So where they position them, and half of them would go down over to Bethany.
Mike, are you talking about if this facility?
No, he's
went
talking about
down?
our
I think if
facility.
this facility went down, he goes, where do our employees and the police go as a
Well, the
secondary
generators
location?
kick in.
No, if
No.
this goes up in flames, doesn't exist anymore. So where do they go? They go to the firehouse? Do they go to another meeting place? That's what I think he's talking
You know,
about.
The firehouse has a secondary radio dispatch that's in there for the police department.
he's right.
No, there's no doubt that he's correct. I mean, I think we funded it.
Well,
as part of it.
I disagree with that.
But,
You did. There was, I think the chief of police identified, say, 3 phases, and in the council funded the first, and I think, next year they're coming to you for the second phase, but, they're set up somewhat for a dispatch center over there, not fully. 911 wouldn't go down because that's being done at the county, but staff here, like our staff, the pertinent people that need the log-me-ins, they have log-me-ins, and we encourage at least once a month staff members to do an at-work home day to make sure all their faculty is working, their log-me-ins, their computers, their Zooms, their off-premises things. So,
You need to speak up, Mr. DeCarlo, please. You're fading.
I'm just talking directly with Ms. Rowling.
thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Ullman?
No.
Anyone else? Roll call? Oh, no roll
No
call.
roll call.
Block party draft ordinance, anything we have up on this one? Siobhan, we have an update in here?
We have a draft.
Yeah, draft block party policy. So the police department would handle the application form, it says?
That's the proposal in the ordinance, but whatever.
So this is,
Change that.
this is specific for blocking off roadway
Yeah.
to have an activity.
Well, limited to block parties. In fact, there's a petition that requires 51% of the residents on that block to find a street-to-street intersection to be on board with it. It's to encourage social, it's not for a private birthday party
Right.
or a wedding. It's if 51% of the residents want this event to occur. It's to
Okay.
encourage socialization in the town.
All right, so when you say block, it's from an intersection to intersection?
Yeah.
Not from border of Paramus to Hillsdale? Okay.
Yeah, that was
So that's gonna
actually,
that's gonna be tough. You're lucky if you get 51% of anything. And this was tailored after,
I believe the request was East Rutherford or
Yeah, I believe
Rutherford.
East Rutherford.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's.
It
pretty
follows
much-
that one pretty much.
Yeah.
I just had one comment on it, on page 3. No more than one block party shall be granted in any calendar year for the same designated area. So I was curious, maybe we need to be more specific as to how much that covers in terms of the length of a block
Well, I think if it's from,
one
It's cross street
intersection
and
to
cross
the.
street.
well, in your list, you gotta list the cross streets, so you couldn't use those same
Because
cross streets.
some streets here are very long,
So then that whole street couldn't have more than one.
can have or can't.
Can't have more than one, yeah. Yeah, like there's long runs on Jackson, like you're saying, there's no cross streets. Right, so that length can only have one that year. I mean, this is what we used as a sample for, from East Rutherford. But again, you can't have a private birthday party or a private
Yeah.
family party, block party. It'd have to be a true block party.
Well, as we celebrate our 250th year, this may be something that,
Yeah, a
Comes
lot of
up.
families do, yeah.
Halloween.
Yeah, the last day that you can have a block party is Halloween, Mr. Sears. You read the ordinance. I don't know if we wanted to hold Halloween or do we want to leave that alone? And I didn't know on page 1, I didn't know what the township policy department was. Should that be police department or is that a typo?
Oh, that's a typo, sorry.
Mr. DeCarlo.
where? I'm sorry?
On approval, it says the township policy department. So
Oh,
I don't know if we created another job for Mr. DeCarlo or.
It's in his office.
Thank you very much.
And the
Right
person
on
that,
approval.
the person that's taking out the permit will be the person that will be doing the
Oh, this is the
cleanup?
policy, sorry.
Police instead of policy?
Okay.
What's that, Mr.
I
Sears?
said the person that's taking out the permit will be the responsible person for cleaning the block area?
Or they're gonna get charged $100, which is peanuts, I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, but how restricted do you want to make this, Mr.
Well, I
Sears?
don't want to make it
That's a
restricted. I
minimum.
It's a
mean,
minimum.
You
If
can't have
if it's more.
broken glass and things in the street,
What's that?
You can't have broken glass in the
Yeah,
street.
yeah, I mean, hopefully,
Well, right. There has to be some type of volunteer cleanup. so-
yeah, well, it says if the township deems it necessary to have its personnel clean up any portion of the block party or that was not taken care of by the applicant, at a minimum, a cleaning fee of $100 will be charged to the applicant, so.
and there's no fee for this, correct? No,
Other than the cleaning fee.
yeah, there's no permit fee.
This draft has no
Yeah,
permit fee,
no, I-
but
I
if you
agree with
want-
that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
No,
didn't want a permit fee.
No, I
unless-
don't,
Yeah, because I
yeah.
don't want to growing up in Brooklyn, block parties were incredible. On the 4th of July, when the whole block is out and the
Yep.
tables are out in the street with the string lights, it was an awesome experience. So if we could bring that back, I mean, that's a part of the charm of the township. If we could bring that, that'd be awesome.
I'm to Councilman Cassio's point, 51%, that seems a little high.
Not really.
No, it's,
50%, I mean, like you said, where do you get 50% anywhere?
well, we're talking, well, is that, let's just look at that. Is that of the population? If you have 40 houses, you need 21 houses,
Yes.
right?
That's
So
what the ordinance
it's by
says.
house, it's by
Yeah.
home, okay.
So if you do from, let's say, from Ridgewood to Lincoln, you
Right.
need 51% of those houses. It's not a big deal.
No.
No.
Most people, even if they don't want to attend, they'll probably just say, yeah, go ahead and do it. I don't think anyone would be a fun sucker.
Well, you'd be
Fun suckers out
surprised.
there.
You'd be
You'd
surprised.
be surprised.
Yeah, well, they're fun suckers.
Sometimes you
everybody.
get people with leaf blowers purposely
Or hose, or
stuffing
their
the
hose out.
Yeah, I don't like.
Everybody okay with this, or do
Yeah,
we want
I'm good.
we want to digest it?
I'd like to have some time.
Okay.
All right, so
Let's table it until.
we'll table it for the next meeting. Well, we'll put it on for the next
Discussion.
meeting, and if you could have your comments for the next meeting,
Sure.
Ms. Velez. All right? All right.
On conference?
On conference, yes.
Thank you.
Resolution number 25-337, Personnel, Police Chief Employment Agreement. Mark, we don't have to come back out for this, right?
No, sir.
No, we will not come back out of closed session. Motion to enter into closed session.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. We'll wait for Ricky to come down and turn off the cameras and